The meeting of the City of Amherst Committee of the Whole to order. Call, please.
Parks.
Here.
Van Blaricom.
Yes.
Thompson.
Here.
Lanham.
Here.
Leonard. Here. Banner. Here. Elfield. Here.
All right, we're going to start with our department head reports. As usual, City Administrator Patty Dorkland.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to start off with the industrial park. I've been working closely with Compass Realty to get more exposure for the industrial park lots that are for sale within the industrial park. There will be temporary signage up there that had been up there previously and stating that there are lots for sale, but I'm also identifying lots for sale on our website as well as the AADC and Polk County Economic Development Corporation. They will be putting listings down as two as well. And then Compass Realty is going to do drone footage for the industrial park, which will be very good coverage for the market listing network. And at some point, I'd like to see a permanent sign erected there at the site to better identify the space. So more to come on that. Sundance Street Housing Development. I know you remember that discussion. It would appear that the 9+ acre housing development that was to take place on the west end is not happening. The owners backed out and they're selling the property. So that won't take place. I am going to be conducting performance reviews in the next few weeks for my staff, including the police chief, fire chief, and public works director. The review process takes place each April and August. The April review process is the preliminary review with final reviews in August to determine budgetary wages for the 2024 budget. AEDC, it appears that I'm up for another term, and that's taking place after June 30th. So I wanted to let Chad and all of you know that I would be willing to serve another term. It's 3 years. So anyway, that's if they need me to do that. And if you don't care, I would do that again. So sewer rate increase. I'm working with a company to help us get our sewer rates completed. Should hear soon on the progress. We're doing a rate study for that, and I'm doing it through Ellers, and they came in the cheapest of all the ones I checked with. Once that's done and the rates are complete, the customers will be notified. So I anticipate that'll take place sometime in the summer. I'm not quite sure yet, but hopefully by June or July. Airport, we recently had an airport commission meeting, and discussion took place working on the master plan for the airport. We need to complete a master plan or compile a master plan group. And that would consist of people that are interested in doing it outside of the airport or people that are part of the airport commission. We want to do that meeting in May or June. And as many of you know, it's to move everything forward in the airport with such things as expansions, terminal pilots lounge, updated equipment, possible land acquisitions, and any other improvements for the future of the airport. So I will keep everyone apprised of movement on that project. Capital improvement plan. Ours is outdated right now, and I want to keep working on that. I'm going to work closely with Ben and Taylor and anybody else that can contribute to our capital improvement plan. It needs an overhaul, and I'll see movement on that in the near future. Now, this is a good one. We are working closely. We have a committee put together, and we're collaboratively working with other entities throughout the city. And we are going to put an electronic sign up at the fire hall. And we're getting a lot of people that are wanting to donate for that. And it's going to be a nice thing for the city. We actually looked at that sign. We had Chuck there, myself, Sarah's husband was there, and a few others, Tom Benson, and Paul Schaefer, and we're all kind of collaboratively working together, and we want to get enough money to make it look nice and have all kinds of events on there. I think what we may do is flash the sponsors on there and let everybody know that they contributed towards the sign. So, and I'll keep you posted on the developments of that. We'd like to get that up this summer before all the events happen. So, and then our next council meeting is May 3rd at 5 o'clock, committee of the whole at 5 on the 17th. And then the 29th is Memorial Day. We'll be closed, our offices. So any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Betty.
Ben Jansen, clerk treasurer.
Well, we closed out our spring election with one hiccup. We had our first ever provisional ballot, so that was quite a learning experience. Our voting machine is actually currently out for servicing, so we actually had a loaner. One gear on the inside that pulls the ballots through broke, and they're waiting for that part to come through, so we will have that hopefully in the summer and by next year for the other elections. Liquor license packets went out yesterday and today. We're hoping to have everything back by mid-May, so we can have it ready for you guys in June. Open book and board review will be held in May. Open book will be taking place on the 18th, and board review will be on the 25th, and both are from 10 in the morning till noon. And then finally, Taylor and I will be attending training from the Clerks Association on all sorts of stuff in Rice Lake on May 5th. It's like an annual district meeting they have up there every year, so we'll be going to that again. Any questions? Nobody wants to know what provisional ballot is? Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Steve, police chief.
We snuck in, I didn't see him. Stealthy.
At this time. Good evening, everybody. Well, we took 366 calls for March, which is starting to get back how things, I guess, are normal. We'll get a lot more once the summer comes, I believe. Average call to 11 a day. For a total, we've had 20 misdemeanor arrests, 1 felony arrest. That was for a felony bail jumping charge, couple cocaine possession charges, and we had some marijuana, a couple marijuana citations as well as misdemeanors as well. No hard drugs, no meth or anything like that. Couple of drug paraphernalia that goes with usually the marijuana. Disturbance calls at about 9, 3 domestic abuse offenses. 1 person is still currently in a Polk County jail regarding that. Seems to be going to be a frequent flyer, which I hope doesn't occur, but it's starting to go that way. Juvenile responses are again about 8 this time, but we're usually there. Something having to do with the school regard or things that happen with the school a lot. So technically sent there like 8 times. 19 paper service, so helping people doing that. 5 vehicle lockouts, which we're able to successfully get into their vehicles, which is good. Not too many mutual aids, 8 altogether. 32 parking violations. Couple of transports for the Polk County Jail, but no out of the county mental health transports this time, so that's good. Things that we're working on, policies are still moving slow, a little slower than I thought because of things that are happening around. But that is still moving. Tornado sirens, if you guys heard them today, they work. We'll be testing them again at 6:45. And then I briefly talked with Chuck here, and we're going to try to get on board to have some of their staff as well be able to do this tornado sirens, because right now it's only the police department. And if somebody's not here or somebody is taking someone to Winnebago and the tornado comes, there's nobody else that can alert the community. So we don't care who sets the tornado alarm off, as long as somebody sets it off. That's the important thing. So if more people have access, I think the better that would be. Also, engaging with the community. I had the pleasure of working with Heather the other day for Amory United. That was a blast. It was fun. Got to answer a lot of questions, meet some people through the community, and put some people's minds at ease on how the police do things and why we do things a little bit. Got to engage with Willow Ridge today at the nursing home, and that was fun. Got to meet some people there, and there was cupcakes and coffee. So, I had 1 cupcake. Wanted 2, but I figured people are probably watching. We're also starting to get involved with the active shooter pre-planning on how things going, because you always want to plan when it happens. You never want to plan if. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, you got to plan for stuff like that, and hopefully nothing ever happens. We also have an audit from the Department of Justice that just fell on our lap. That is regarding our time system and all kind of technical aspects with our department. Apparently they're sending them out to every department in the state of Wisconsin, so a lot of upgrades are needed. So far, we have to have our own Wi-Fi network. It has to be separated, and there's a whole bunch of different technical aspects that we're gonna have to spend a little money to get everything up to code, to speed. Password changes, all kinds of different stuff. But we're working with Connecting Point, and they're doing an awesome job, so that is gonna happen in the near future. And that's pretty much all I have. Any questions?
Yes.
I knew it.
With 2 donuts, so. There's a fire hydrant right at the property edge of, Williamson Funeral Home. It's an old hydrant that is a redundant situation at this point in time. And that there's, supposed to be one every, 400 or 600 feet. We have 5 of them within 300 feet there. So it was brought to me that hydrant takes up a valuable parking space for the funeral home.
Okay.
And I don't know that it's ever necessarily been an issue, but I think we should either take some action that makes that a parking space in front of it. It wasn't until just recently that it was painted yellow even. So I think between you and Chuck, we should figure out how to, or fire commission, we should figure out how to make that a non-entity. I mean, I don't have anything to stay there, but it's an old 2.5 inch fire hydrant. Nobody would hook up to it anyway, because there's bigger ones on the corners and so on.
Something a garbage bag could go over.
Pardon?
Something a garbage bag could fit over.
Yeah, I think so. Whatever, it's reasonable. And then I had a question, this just basically comes from me, do we still have a smoke shop in town?
Yes.
I haven't been in there, but I had occasion to go in another one for some electrical work. And the question came up that there are folks selling bongs and hookup pipes and whatever, I don't even know what y'all call them, but they're obviously for the ingesting of illegal substances for the primary. So if you get caught with one in your car, I'm assuming that that's probably a paraphernalia charge.
Hookahs are for legal tobacco. Now, if you're talking about a bong, that's different.
Well, they're glass pipes for water and so on. I'm not.
Yeah, there's certain things are made for legal tobacco, hookah tobacco, and some things are made for.
So the question was, are we selling, or is there being sold things that are primarily going to be for illegal substances versus, or substances that we're selling them legally, but if you get caught with one in your car, you're going to the slammer.
And that's the thing, I believe they would have a sign out there that's saying for legal tobacco only.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, if you.
That's like this corn is for my squirrels only, not for my
Yes.
deer. That's par for the course.
Like in others, I'm sure, other cities and towns.
It wasn't.
I set them off, kind of the same.
Question came up, so.
I got a question, Jeff. How much work would it be to take that fire hydrant out of service completely?
To remove it, yeah.
Yeah.
Rip it up the street,
Yeah.
sidewalk, the curb, and then you gotta get down, cap it off, so it, yeah.
And-
It don't hurt anything.
What happens after that? Put a cover on it.
You're just, not to be rude, more or less, they make garbage can, nice looking things that you fly right over.
Yeah.
Yep. Mark it out of commission, it's fine.
I know Eddie White would appreciate it because now he's looking at people illegally parking after it was painted, and that's a real valuable parking space for the funeral home. So. All I got.
I have something. We live on Griffin Street East, and there has been a lot of speeding on the street, and it's like, we've noticed it's like in the morning,
All what times?
maybe around anywhere between 7 and maybe 9. And then sometimes in the afternoon too. And one of the neighbors had brought up, they even told me that she won't even let her dogs go out in the front yard. I don't know if there's anything that we can do. Can we put up some?
I mean, we can get squads out there and yeah, we can,
Because we've seen, I know you do patrol it quite a bit, because quite a few times in the evening, we have, the police department has someone pulled over. So I know it is being patrolled, but it's just that sometimes when the cars go by there, it's 25 miles and sometimes I'm just guessing 40, 50.
I think if we see more squads out there with their lights on, it'll make people slow down a little bit. And if people start getting some citations, they'll realize, hey, you know, what? They don't mess around on Griffin Avenue.
Can I just put up a sign on our yard, just a polite one, caution dogs at play or something like that?
Plus, it was on a lot of sign lanes, I'm sure you can.
That might just,
Mhm.
I was thinking about doing that.
But yeah, we can definitely get some squads out there and,
Owner is a concealed carry holder.
but yeah, we can definitely get some squads out there and start
Thank you.
making some more stops.
I'll let my neighbors know.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Steve. Chuck. No, it's Chuck. You're gonna have to on fire chief.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this weather will cut down on, we haven't had any grass fires yet, so hopefully we won't get any. Hopefully things will green up quite a bit. First off, engine 2 that was sent to Waiwega for refurbishing is back. It should be getting repacked. This rainy weather will probably be this week. It should, we were gonna start on it last night. I'm not sure if they did or not. So as soon as that is repacked, it'll definitely go back into service. I mean, it's got water, but it's just not real fully stocked yet. Since the last time we met, the cameras are put up in the fire station. They cover all entry doors going in, parking lots, the hallways, apparatus bay. So the fire station is pretty well covered by cameras now, which is great. Just another reminder, when we do get warm weather and if it doesn't green up, no burning of leaves, rubbish or garbage in the city limits, it is $124 fine. Just don't do it. What I have to do is call Mr. Mahoney and I'm sure he'll open up the dump, or it's every other Saturday it's open also?
First and third Saturday of the month.
First and third, okay. To haul it in it first.
And
City
if they've got
residents.
something, they can do it, get a hold of us.
And for residents of the city limits, it's free, correct? Yep, okay, so. Like, chief had said, police chief has said that, severe weather time. The storm shelter is located in the library, basement of the library. In the event of a tornado, the fire department will be manning that and have the doors open, and we'll be there to assist handicap and people going down the stairs. I talked to Mr. Mahoney, and he also said that if there was a power outage, that the generator does run that elevator for people with handicap, so we can still get you down in the basement in case for tornado. I had mentioned last time that myself, Mitch Lee, Joe Satry, Ed White are going to our electric vehicle training in Centuria. I really think that is going to be a real benefit to us anyway as a fire department. Last, I'd like to thank everyone who came to our pancake breakfast on April 8th. I'd like to thank Chili and the Amory Family Restaurant and Doug Reinhardt and Dick's Market for donating all the food and drinks.
is greatly appreciated by all members of the fire department. And from what I was told, since we had started this year was the best we've had. So I want to say thank you to everybody that came out and thanks to all those businesses. So any questions?
I think so.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Heather's.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So it's been another busy month at the library. Since we last met, we've held 16 educational events with a total attendance of 485 people. Most of that was the entire Amory Intermediate School came for visits. So I had 4 days of class visits and it was a lot of fun. They had a good time. Some of them had been here because they traveled last year with the school and some of them it was their first visit, but it's always nice to see the kids in the building. The big update for us is that the board has approved to expand our hours on Fridays. So now starting in May, we will be open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Saturdays we'll keep the 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to track circulation data and foot traffic. And in a year's time, we'll review all of those statistics and then just do cost benefit analysis. Is it worth it? Do enough people come? Are we happy with this? But we're going to do it for 1 entire year. I've heard a lot of people say that they're excited about it, especially parents of younger children. So hopefully that will be successful. I don't know if you've seen, but we've got our new furniture for the upstairs portion of the library. So it's beautiful. And again, thank you for your financial support in getting that. We're going to have a really nice seating area, some coffee, newspapers, magazines, all of that. It'll be a really nice community center. And the chief already mentioned this, but we had a really fun time with him coming to the library and meeting citizens. And I've heard fabulous things from some of the people that were there that said they were just thrilled that someone took the time to sit with them, answer questions, and get to know each other better. So thanks so much for that. That was really great. Next week is National Library Week. So the Friends of the Library have generously decided to donate some snacks and treats to have out during the week and for National Library Workers Day, which is on Tuesday. We are going to be hosting an intern at the library for 2 weeks in May. A young woman from Breck School in Minneapolis is going to travel out here and shadow me and Brooke and Trevor and learn a little bit about public libraries. And I'll also bring her by City Hall so she can see a little bit about that. So that will be fun. And that's our first intern that we've had that I know of. So I'm really happy about that. I've also begun annual reviews for hourly staff. So that process is going. And then finally, the community mural project is almost finished. All the painting is done. Now the artist is going to be working on doing his final touches. And then we'll have some sort of celebration that the Women's Club will host when it's ready to put on the wall. So I'll make sure that all of you are invited because I think that will be a really fun occasion. That is what I have. Do you have questions for me? No? All right. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. And Jeff Mahoney.
It's Mr.
Excuse me, Mr. Mahoney.
Okay, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Just a reminder, parks are open May 1st. And dump is open first Saturday of the month, first and third Saturday of the month, starting in May. And then another reminder, some pumps are not allowed to go into the sewer system. Everybody's got them plumbed in their basement, going into the sewers. You can't do that. Run into daylight, or you can run into the street and they'll go down into the storm sewers. The sewer plant just doesn't handle it. Jeremy's had to work nights now because he can't dewater during the day, flow's too high. And here we go. Remember, how this started out in April here. Foot of snow, so we were plowing snow. And then a couple days later, well, first we got done plowing snow and then we had the water main on Arlington that broke. That was a nice Sunday. And then we got the warm up. That was all great. What do you say? We had to open up the dam as much as we did because we were about to lose the dam. It was starting to wash out the berm on the east side of it. So there was nothing we could do. We sure didn't try to flood anybody out or hurt anybody. It was bad. And the crew was out there patching streets, sweeping, trying to get everything cleaned up. So if you see them out there, give them a little extra room. They got the meters read. Now this week they're out there flushing.
So if you see the trucks out there, just watch out a little bit. And I guess any questions?
When you open the dam, is that something that you have to manage a report through the state at all, or?
As long as, no, the state really doesn't,
Mhm.
they come and inspect it once a year, and that's pretty much what we get. And the problem is, we opened ours up, then we get Blackbrook to try
Right.
to open theirs
Right.
up,
It's a cascade all the way
They
down.
make a lot of money if they can hold as much back, because they run hydro through there.
Yep.
The electricity.
How long is it gonna take to repair the berm or whatever?
Berm is fixed, everything's done. Everything's repaired, we got new chain, we're gonna hook that on the roll gate, and then everything's right back to where it was.
Okay.
We had a boat stuck in there. We had part of a dock stuck in there, and we've had trees and everything else coming down, so it's been interesting.
Yeah,
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
But there wasn't too much damage from that. Okay.
We just, a lot of it we're doing, well, it wrecked a pulley system, but that was old. And then the rest of it, we're just looking at it and it just needed repair.
Yeah.
We're just repairing it while it's up.
That's a big concern this time of the year when
Yeah.
we have as much water as we do. So,
But no, everything's going good. We got it dropped good on the, we're just waiting for this rain to kind of do what it's gonna do and we'll get everything set up again.
So is there any status or anything that needs to be done with the bank that washed out?
On my opinion, no. It's got rocked now. It didn't before. That probably would have been a good thing to have there earlier too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Mother Nature.
well, it's
I'm
held,
never trying to help them out.
it's held that. I mean, this isn't the first time the dam's been
It's the
open.
first time it's been open like this.
Huh?
This is the first time it's been open like this. We had to open everything.
Hmm.
And then we haven't done that,
You had to draw it down pretty fast.
yeah. Because it was, yeah, it was going over the berm. But no, we haven't had that before.
No, I thought we did one time, long time ago, but
Maybe
Maybe
before
not.
my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 30 years we haven't.
yeah, well, you're.
it's got a lot.
Yeah.
80 years ago.
Yeah, you get a foot of snow and then it's 85 degrees. It caused a lot of trouble.
Yeah, very much. You can do it.
Kayakers would have liked to know that down to Little Falls.
Problem is there's a lot of big trees too.
Yeah, well, they're nuts.
All right.
thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. And Taylor.
All right, it has been a busy month between the election, utility bills, and now liquor licenses this week. We've had a lot going on. Utility bills went out on Friday. They're due back on May 15th, so please start sending those in. Not everybody has to wait till the last minute, so. I've been working on the PSC report information with our new water rate case study. We have to do that. It's a lot of information out of Workhorse, a lot of information just from I've gotten a lot from Jeff, and we have to compile all of our water information so that we can go through a rate study for our rates, and we have to do that before we can do monthly billing. So monthly billing is still on the horizon. We just don't have a timeline for exactly when yet. I've also been working with Workhorse, our meter company, Jeff, and we're trying to get new software. The software that we had for kicking out our meter readings is basically obsolete. We're running on what's left on like one computer, so we're getting new software, updating stuff in Workhorse so that we can get everything up and running with that. I'm hoping by June. I've gotten some of the stuff over to them. They've got some stuff back to me, but that'll make it so that I can actually do it on my computer again, and it'll make the process a lot, I think, smoother instead of hoping for the best. We've also had a recycling meeting in March. The recycling committee was actually able to get a letter to the editor into the Amory paper to try and reach some of the community, and they were able to get a blurb together for the newsletter that went out with the utility bills last week. So they're really trying to make some progress with the recycling in Amory and make people more aware of it, especially with Earth Day right around the corner. And then just a shout out to anybody that may be listening that has relatives coming into town. Our campground is still taking reservations for the summer, and I think we still might have some seasonal sites available. So if anybody needs campsites, make sure they give Peggy a call. Any questions?
Do you have any response to the recycling information?
I emailed the clerk's list like internally to get some education materials, but I haven't heard anything coming back on.
Nobody called in and said this is not a good deal or this is a good deal or.
No, I don't know if you guys have either of you heard anything.
Nope.
Alright, yeah, so word is out there at least, and Earth Day is this weekend, I think, so.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all for the updates. Next on the agenda is Family Friendly Workplaces presentation. Hello,
How are you?
wonderful.
My name is Neil Klein. I'm the Executive Director of Family Friendly Workplaces. Terry Hauer suggested that I get in touch to share what we're working on. And I know I've also been in touch with Paul as well, with Amory Economic Development Corp about our work. And I think if the black magic back there works out right, I'll have some slides that I'm just hoping to kind of run through with you, so that we can I can kind of share some data and talk about our program and what we're trying to work on here. While she's working on that, I know it's a high pressure back there. We're a 501c3 nonprofit based in Woodville, and we serve primarily St. Croix, Pierce, and Polk counties. And so for us, the opportunity to come and talk to you about our program is something that we're very excited about. I'm the executive director of a mighty staff of one. I work out of my house actually in Osceola. And I really am excited to have the opportunity to kind of tell you about what we're working on. So if you could go to the next slide for me, I don't know if folks can see that. I'll provide narration as well. I really like to start these presentations out by talking about what we really believe at Family Friendly. We really think that families are central not only to individuals, but also communities. And so if we can strengthen families, we can help not only the individuals that make up those families, but also the communities that are made up from those families. And so we work through employers for two reasons on this kind of goal of ours. The first is that there's a lot of lives that employers touch. So when you think about it in human resources, you've got covered lives. We take that definition and really expand it to include grandparents, nieces, nephews, cousins, family, friends, that sort of a thing. And then we also work through employers for our workforce shortage. So if you can go to the next slide. Our program is an employer certification program. So employers can work with us to become certified as a family-friendly workplace. And this data that I'm showing you up here really speaks to the reason that we think that this program can bring some value. So what this chart shows you is a projection of Wisconsin's statewide net workforce entrance. The way that you calculate that is you take the number of 15 to 19-year-olds who are coming into the workforce in a given year and subtract out the 65 to 69-year-olds who are leaving, right? So you got the folks coming in and the folks going out. And that gives you this net entrance number that you see. And I've got my own color commentary there that says yikes down by 2030. And the reason is because that chart is not scaled. So in 2030, Wisconsin statewide is going to add 129 souls to its workforce, which is bonkers, 129 people. And when you look historically in 2010, we were adding, I think that says about 34,000 people. And so you can see that 129 common sense would suggest that that's a super low number statewide, but that historical perspective I also think is helpful. There are really two things that are contributing to the problem. The first is that baby boomers are retiring. COVID really accelerated those retirements. Asset values were up, so retirement accounts were real healthy. And then folks also didn't want to get sick. And so they didn't have to keep working and they didn't. So we had about 2 million extra retirements nationwide over and above what we would have normally expected to see. The other reason then is we're not having enough kids. Our birth rate is at 1.64 kids per woman. The stable rate, if you're thinking about what you need to just maintain a population, is 2.1. So we're not quite having kids at the rate that we would need to really plug the hole. And so that's what really makes the shape that you see there and causes that low point to be in 2030. I'll ask that you kind of keep that curve in mind. If you could go to the next slide for me. as we look at this next set of lines. So this is the same data for the 3 counties we work in, and then I also included Burnett and Barron County there. So this is net workforce entrance data. St. Croix and Pierce County are the 2 lighter colored lines at the top of the graph. You can see in 2030, they're going to add about 200 people apiece to the workforce that year, which is extremely low. Polk County, and by way of background, I'm from Milltown originally. I went to Unity in Balsam Lake, so Polk County's, these are my people. This is where I'm from. It's where I live, and so when I look at that Polk County line, by 2030, the way to understand it, you can see that line has dipped below 0. So that means that more people are leaving the workforce during those years than are entering it, which means that the workforce is shrinking during those years, which is obviously somewhat concerning if you run a business or are looking to start one. Burnett County and Barron County, you can see as well, pity poor Burnett. They've been losing folks the entire kind of 30-year projection window that you see. But the Polk, Burnett, and Barron really show what's going on across much of the northern part of our state, which is in some places you're losing folks at a rate of almost 2 to 1. And once you're doing that, you really begin to wonder how you're going to be able to offer basic services when you just are losing that many workers. And there are some other demographic things that play into this as well. So Wisconsin statewide is aging. When you look at median age, we're a year and a half older from 2010 to 2020. Our median age statewide increased a year and a half. St. Croix County was twice that rate. The median age went up 3 years during that decade. Pierce County, it was 3.1. Polk County, which started out older already, the median age increased by 3.8 years. And so I say all of that because really what this chart says and what all of that demographic data is really telling us is that we have a long-term human resources problem that we need to be thinking strategically about what we're going to do to try and address it. And we use this chart not only to tell us, the problem, but also to try and kind of guide us through a solution so we don't have to try to swallow the elephant. So if you could go to the next slide for me. What we do is we break the chart down into 3 different timeframes because they're kind of 3 distinct challenges that require unique kind of approaches to try and solve. So I was very original as I named them. We've got the immediate, medium, and long. I didn't go too fancy with it. But I think for the rest of my time with you, I'm just going to run through each one of those timeframes and talk about our program and what we're trying to do across each one of those sections. And then if there are questions that come up, either that have come up now or that come up later, you can feel free to raise your hand or we can take them at the end. But I've only got a couple more slides and then we can open it up to discussion. So you go to the next slide for me. Like I alluded to at the top, the program that we run is the Family Friendly Workplaces Certification Program. The way that works is we have a matrix that we developed with J.A. Counter Alera, which is a benefits consultancy firm out in Richmond. And they've got really good market penetration in our area. And so what we did is we made a matrix that we can use to evaluate the benefits that employers offer and recognize employers whose benefits meet or exceed the market average for Western Wisconsin. So we ask about your healthcare benefit, we ask about your time off benefit, early childhood support, childcare support. I heard you kind of telling your story there, so that's a big section for folks. And then kind of some other baskets of benefits. And basically the way that it works is an employer goes through and tells us the benefits that they offer, and each one of those benefits has a point value. And so at the end, we just add those points up and it tells us if you're gold, silver, or bronze. The whole reason for that, especially in the immediate term, is to help increase an employer's ability to recruit and retain talent. Everybody knows that we're dealing with a workforce shortage right now. As the graphs show, we're going to be dealing with that shortage for a long time to come. And so in that immediate term, doing whatever we can to help employers not only recruit new talent, but keep the talent they have is really the path forward for employers while they try to navigate kind of the difficult environment. We built it to try and be easy for folks, meaningful, but still accessible. Our smallest employer has 1 employee. Our largest is 375, I think. So we've got a good kind of range, both public employers and private employers as well. The other thing that I think the program does is it helps, if you go through the matrix and you realize, geez, we're not performing as well as we'd like to. There's a whole list of ideas right there, that you can adopt to become more family friendly and to either get a higher level of certification or be better able to recruit and retain talent. So all of that is focused on that immediate term challenge of helping employers recruit or retain talent. If you could go to the next slide for me, then we'll kind of switch over into the medium term. So in the medium term, we're primarily focused on talent recruitment and I joke, we're in the business of stealing people from the Twin Cities and convincing them to move their families over to the right side of the river. We talk about that through our BHAG, or our Big Hairy Audacious Goal, as we'd like to call it, which is that we want Western Wisconsin to become known as the premier destination to come to raise your kids. And if you could go to the next slide for me, I think there's a visual that kind of helps explain how this works. So we in Western Wisconsin, we're close enough to the Twin Cities to use them, but we're far enough away that we don't have to deal with them, right? And I think everyone kind of naturally understands that who lives here. And so that finds expression across the top two pieces of what I've called the triad, which I stole from like nuclear warfare, but I think it's a helpful kind of visual representation of what we're working with. So we have that proximity to urban amenities. You can get a flight, you can go to a show, you can go to a concert, you can get dinner, whatever the case might be. You can go to the cities and you can do that, but you don't have to deal with it. So that finds expression through perceptions of safety and cost of living. The challenge for us is that if you pick an analogous town in Minnesota to Amory, one's not coming to mind, but pick your copy over there. They are facing the same talent shortage that we are. It's a national problem. It's not unique to Wisconsin. And they can say those same two things for the most part. They're close enough. They don't have to deal with it. So if we just leave our talent recruitment pitch to only those two pieces, we are not differentiating ourselves relative to the other competitors for talent. And so that's where this idea of family support really comes in. And in our program's fullest expression, when you're driving into Amory on the town sign coming in where you've got the Lions Club sign and all of the kind of community organizations, you'd have a sign up there that says a certified family-friendly community, because it completes the same role that having the certification for an employer completes, which is to communicate the value of your town, the values of your town, that you value family. And if you move here, your family's coming to a community that prioritizes it and that is interested in supporting it. And there's a lot of opportunity there. The Twin Cities are a place that naturally collects a lot of young people from Wisconsin, but a lot of young people nationally as well. And so in our view, if we can make them think, when they've got their first kid on the way, or they've had their kids and they're thinking, okay, where do we want to settle down for those exciting middle school and high school years? Where do we want to be? We want them to look to Western Wisconsin to do that. So that's that medium-term talent attraction piece. If you can go to the next slide, it's not particularly exciting to look at, but over the long term, what we focus on is early childhood and trying to help bring employers along to understand the role that they play in early childhood. And we summarize it by emphasizing that for children, it's really about relationships. And we really talk to employers about that through what are called executive function skills. These are things that you use every day. You learn them early on in life. It's making decisions in light of available information, resisting frustration in haste. I kind of joke, it's kind of like Timmy's going to steal your crayon in kindergarten, and Timmy might steal your crayon at the office too. And so you have to know how to handle that. The things that really help children develop those skills are healthy, strong, stable, and steady relationships with the adults in their lives. And I think when we talk to employers about early childhood a lot, they leave the conversation wondering, I make widgets. What do I have to do with early childhood? And the answer is actually you have a lot to do with early childhood, because doing whatever you can in your benefits to support the development of those healthy relationships will materially impact students and kids' ability to go to school, be successful in school, and be ready to enter the workforce on time and with the skills that they need. It's apart from that moral imperative, we're going to need every single one of them to be ready to do that. So that's over that long-term piece. I've only got 2 more slides. So if you go to the next one, we are, as I said, an independent nonprofit. We've got funding coming from some private donations, but then also our corporate sponsors. So I like to put them up and make sure that everyone recognizes their important support. And then the last slide is just my contact information. But that's pretty much kind of the rundown of who we are and what we do. And I welcome the chance to answer any questions that anyone might have about that.
It seems to me that the number one reason that people may not come to Amory is there's no place to live.
Mhm.
So till we can help solve that, I think, I like the program. I think that's worthwhile to do that. I really do, but we really need to do something proactive, not reactive, but so we help people. You come to us and we say, yeah, I've got an idea to build 12 houses like we had down there. Okay. But we don't do anything for that group. And I'm not sure that there is a ton of stuff to do. But I think, I don't know if you're familiar with Siren. They recently bought, I think it was 100 acres on the south side of town there, south on the west side of 35. And they designated that for a new housing development. So Siren bought it. They plotted out the streets. Not sure if they're going to do what they're doing with the infrastructure and that, but they at least made it available for and said, if you want to build a house, this is where we'd like to have you do it. And I think there was, I don't want to speak out of place, but I believe that there was incentive, like we're going to give you a real deal on the land. When you get the house up and built and the house is sold, then we'll come in and, then we'll try to get our money back out of it that way. But housing is just impossible.
Well, if I could kind of chime in on that. So there's kind of a trifecta of problems. There's the workforce shortage, the childcare shortage, and the housing shortage, and they all are conspiring together to make the other two worse, which then makes the first one even more bad. And they're all really connected. And so I do think, and we're at Family Friendly, we're very aware of that housing challenge, and we hear about it all the time. When you talk to employers who have successfully recruited somebody, there's an example of an employer in Baldwin that was recruiting talent from down south in Georgia or somewhere. And they got 10 folks to make the move, presumably in the summer. I don't know when they showed us off to them, but they came up and they put them up for 3 months I think, in a hotel while they looked to try and find housing. And by the end of those 3 months, only one person remained, and it's because they couldn't find anywhere to live. I mean, there's an undeniable labor force impact on the shortage of housing, just like with childcare. Mm-hmm. The Minneapolis Fed put out some really interesting data that looked at the rate of dual working households before COVID and then after COVID, and there's this massive drop off in the number of households with 2 people in the workforce. And most of it was precisely because of the story you were telling, that women in particular were leaving the workforce for care, either to take care of a child or an elderly relative. And so those are workforce problems. And Osceola, has been having a pretty healthy debate about this apartment building that is being proposed downtown at the side of the old hospital there. And it looks like there might be kind of developing support. We wrote a letter of support for that project because of the role that it can play in workforce needs. And I think my overarching point is that there are different groups in society that need to tackle each one of these, right? We are trying to focus on that workforce piece. Local government has a huge role to play on the housing piece, and whether or not you allow housing, and if so, where, and what's it look like, and all of those kinds of things. I think what's important is that the organizations that are in leadership positions on either one of those, on whatever the issue might be, plays that leadership role, and then that everyone else supports that and recognizes that if you want to solve the workforce challenge, you got to solve childcare and housing. If you want to solve housing, you got to solve the workforce shortage and childcare shortage, you know, they're all very, very connected. And one other point I'll make is I think that these things need to be solved in parallel. It takes half a decade before marketing efforts have any measurable impact on anything, right? So sometimes I hear folks say, well, we should solve one before we go on to the other two. And you've got to be doing all of this, you know, at the same time, and everyone's got to be rowing in the same direction to make it work. But your point is totally well taken. I think it's a nasty little kind of group that we've got.
If we have local businesses that are interested in pursuing this, how do they go about doing that?
Well, our website provides our matrix. So our full application is available. So anyone can go onto our website. On the left-hand side, there's a what we do section. And then there's a drop down. And if you click on our employer certification program, you can see our application and our matrix. And then you can go through that and kind of complete it yourself and see how many points you'd get and where you'd fall. I also welcome anyone here to get in touch with me. My email address is on the last slide of that deck, and I've got business cards and I can give you all one. And I welcome the chance to talk with anybody who's interested. If there's a community group who you think I've got a longer form version of what you just sat through, then I would welcome the opportunity to come to the Rotary Club or go on, like wherever there's someone who might be interested in hearing about this. I'll take the show on the road. I live in Osceola, so it's not hard to get here. And I welcome the chance to really share. And I think part of the goal coming here and Terry's suggestion was just to provide the data and say, you know, this is the reality and we all need to be working together to try and address it, because it will materially impact our ability to not only maintain current economic activity, but grow it. And it means that if we don't solve it, we're going to leave wealth on the table. And that's a crying shame. And we don't have to do that. We can have an impact on it. So that's a long answer to your question.
Is there a cost to it?
Thank you for raising that. We do charge. So let me explain kind of how it works, because it's a bit unique. So the way that we structure it is we call it a conduit contribution. So every employer, we have a different set of rules for public employers who oftentimes you're constrained in making charitable contributions. But for a private sector employer, we have a requirement that every year you make a donation to a family supporting nonprofit of that employer's choice. They need to be a 501c3 and they need to, in our view, support families. If you wanted to give it to Pheasants Forever, I think we might kind of have some heartburn about that, but maybe they have a mentoring program. I don't know. We're very open-minded to what that nonprofit could be, but we've sent money to food shelves. Kinship of Polk County has received funding. Women's shelters, the Family Resource Center, St. Croix Valley down in Baldwin has received funding. We have an interest in early childhood. So if an employer comes to us and says, who do you think we should give it to? The Family Resource Center is the top of our list, food shelves, Kinship, programs that really support families. That's our goal. The minimum rate is $10 per full-time equivalent employee. And we structure it a little uniquely. So the employer writes the check to us, and then we turn around and send 100% of that money on to the nonprofit that they told us to send it to. So we don't skim anything off the top. And we set it up that way because we just think it makes everybody's money go a little farther. And it's more exciting than us just charging the fee. And then we also tie that into, I've got a big check. So we all I trot it out and we Vanna White it and take the picture and put it on Facebook and do a press release and things to let people know that they've been certified, but also to get people out into the community and supporting these nonprofits. We fund ourselves then, we don't run off pixie dust. So we fund ourselves through those corporate sponsors, private donations, and then we're, grant funding as we're able to get it to kind of keep the operation going. And we point to those conduit dollars as impact. So if someday we're, channeling $100,000 a year out to family supporting nonprofits, there's plenty of people who are going to want to make sure that keeps going and support us directly.
What other communities have you used to advertise this, like on websites and things like that? Is that something we could do here at the city?
Oh,
Put you out there and so everybody could see it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very, I always say we, it just makes it feel less lonely. I am very excited to partner with people wherever I can. I know our board, we're governed, I'm not working completely alone. I have a board, but we welcome the opportunity to partner with anybody in any way that we can. And so to the extent that the city would be interested in kind of promoting the idea, I'd absolutely love to work with you guys on that.
I think we could probably look into that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, great information.
Great work.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and all of the information. It's wonderful.
Thank you. And I'll leave some cards back there with Taylor and then you guys can
That'd be
pick
great.
those up at the end. And they've got a website on it as well. So you can go and kind of spend more time with it if that's something you'd like to do.
Awesome.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Say thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil. Awesome. Great. Clean Water Fund Administration Agreement with SEH.
I thought Eric was gonna be here, but apparently not. This is just so they can apply for the Clean Water Fund funding for the sewer plant on our behalf, basically.
Oops.
So we need a motion to send that to the full council.
Yep.
So moved.
A second.
All right, a motion has been made and seconded to forward the Clean Water Fund Administration Agreement with SEH on to full council. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And any opposed? So motion carries. Thank you very much. Arts, Parks and Recreation Committee request for funding for North Twin flags. Is anybody going to speak to this specifically?
Me again too. The flags that are run along North Twin that are in
No.
horrible shape.
Mhm.
The Arts Parks and Rec Committee have been looking at replacements and the cheapest one was actually Stein Express up in St. Croix Falls. And the total cost for it is, if it's in here, I think it's around $1,600 for all of them for 10 of them, $150 a piece, plus some of them need bases.
Mhm.
And they're just looking for your blessing to move forward with it and purchase them. basically.
Is this within budget? I mean, we did have a budget line item already for.
Does this include the poles as well as the flags themselves, or are we reusing existing poles that we have?
Yeah, good that it-
Use a couple of them, right?
It wasn't clear after reading this with what it is.
This does not include poles.
Does not. It's the flags.
No, the price is just for the flags. We were gonna look at reusing the poles, I thought.
Yeah, it says it's available in hardware, but they don't have it listed as part of the sale.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the flags that are falling apart. It's not necessarily what's holding them there. Great. Yeah, I think, it's always so impressive when we have those flags there. And I think that actually something that's more of this design is going to be better than the ones with the long tails on the top that get twisted and such. So I actually like this design a lot better. And it's impressive. It's actually really cool seeing them as we go through.
There. They're actually gonna try to get it to match the banners on the light poles with the different graphics on there and the same. Yes, so that's.
So it's not going to be,
Accurate picture.
it's not. Okay.
They'll be.
Yeah, they'll be
Okay.
that size and shape, but it'll try to match the banners we have on the light poles.
Nice.
Nice. Well, yeah, nice, except they're kind of boring and not fun colors. Someone's got to say it.
I
For
didn't
a
know.
long. Along the lake, I don't know, I kind of liked the fun colored ones. I like this one.
They stand out a lot better.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it'll be blue on blue, I guess.
yeah, there's the water and,
Yeah. You guys had an opinion, I'm sure they would.
Sarah says color.
Yes.
I like the ones of color. I think that they're really cool. So, but I guess what we're voting on is money. So I would entertain a motion to move forward,
You
move
don't
this.
really need a motion. I mean, it's with.
Yeah, it's in budget. We don't need that.
I think they were kind of seeking one. I told them. Committee would probably say yeah, and they could just run with it, but I don't think they believe me.
Okay.
That we've said that it doesn't take a motion because it's in their budget.
Right.
Efficient. We had a discussion. It's good.
All right. moving right along into public comment and community updates. Any public comment, first of all? Al, got anything to say?
Nope, sounds good to me.
All right. Any updates for the community? So we're in April. So first meeting will be in May.
Music on the River will be starting.
As also will be music in the park.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's,
Fine, they're working on that. They're that today, get that fine bench.
yes. What's the status update on bathrooms?
Yep, they want them set by 6/5.
Hmm.
So got a lot of work.
Is it attainable? Okay. Both at the band shell and at the pavilion.
Have a meeting and wanted to get together with some people and have a meeting, decide where they do want to put that one by the band shell. And
Okay. And what about the electric
I
chargers?
just got an email just before the meeting tonight and he said they should be in by June.
Okay. So a lot of this stuff will be done hopefully by the 4th of July. Okay. Awesome.
Do you have any updates on when the farmer's market is gonna be opening? That should be coming in the next month or so too.
Taylor?
Typically, it's Memorial Day or right around there. I haven't heard specifics about that. Kind of dependent also on how you get stuff.
Right.
All right.
And flowers, I think those are.
they're at greenhouse right now, the ones for
Yep.
the poles and the pots they're trying to get bids on.
And I'm waiting on the Vibrant Spaces grant. Hopefully get good news on that, that's my first, so.
Okay. Awesome. Lots of stuff in the works.
One thing I'd like to see the cities at least take a look at, and I know they're expensive as all get out, but we pretty much have some block Christmas decorations. White snowflakes are way down in the list of Polk County communities. You know, I know it isn't all that long since we bought those and they are expensive as all get out, but we're not decorated all that well for, I mean, we have beautiful, the park is nice. That's a fabulous thing, I think. It's kind of our pole lights and maybe we can't do anything this year. I don't know, but we should at least keep our ear to the ground.
Something that can be
Budget question, I
and
think.
also sent to the Arts Parks and Rec to
Mhm.
Yeah.
have a discussion about it.
All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
No, second.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
We are adjourned.